Oftentimes when people meet me and Mila, and I explain to them how I'm a digital nomad, we travel together full time, I am met with just so many questions. How do I travel with her? How do I get her on a plane? How do we cross borders together? How expensive is it to travel with her? Obviously, in person, I answer the questions and go on with my day. But as we're getting ready to make a big move again, I thought, I should take all of the knowledge that I'm accruing just by traveling with Mila and share it with you guys. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to bring you with us as we prepare to and then cross borders together. So in this video, we're going to talk about the prep work that goes into bringing your pet on an airline and crossing a border with them. I'm also going to share some general tips and tricks I picked up along the way. But first, we need to start with requirements gathering. Generally speaking, when we're looking at pet travel, there's 3 different organizations that we have to deal with. We're looking at an airline, a country that we're exporting our pet from, and a country that we're importing our pet into. So in the case of our upcoming travels, we are flying Avianca Airline. We are exporting Mila from Colombia and importing her into Mexico. All these organizations are going to have different rules and regulations and costs associated with them. Now, before I even book a flight, I always check the pet policy of the airline just to make sure that we meet all the requirements. So if we look at the page here, it looks like Avianca allows 4 different kinds of pets to fly with them. You've got emotional support dogs, service dogs, pets in the cabin, and then pets in the hold. Mila falls under pets in the cabin, so let's have a look at those requirements. It looks like they have a 22-pound weight limit between your pet and their carrier, that their container must be a certain size, and that you can only fly 1 pet to 1 human. So when looking at the weight requirement, I know that Mila weighs about 9 pounds. And then if we look at the Mr. Peanut website here, we can see that her backpack weighs about 3.5 pounds, so 12.5 pounds, plenty under the weight limit. We can also see her carrier dimensions on the Mr. Peanut website, and those are well under the carrier dimensions for the airline, so we're good there. And she will obviously be 1 pet to 1 person, so we're covered as far as those rules are concerned. The next thing I'm searching for on this website is the documentation required to travel with her. Okay, so it looks like documents required. We'll need a copy of her vaccination card, we'll need a health certificate, and we'll need the Avianca transfer form. And then outside of any specific country conditions, which in this case, because we're flying to Mexico, we don't have any, the next thing I'm looking for is cost. This table doesn't provide the exact cost of the route that we're taking, but I'm gonna guess it's probably the price associated within America because we're flying from South to North America. And I'm almost certain it's gonna be about $135. Okay, so the next thing I do after booking my flight is call the airline to book Mila's flight. Some airlines will let you book online. Avianca's not one of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them a call, book her ticket, and I'll come back and let you guys know how much it cost. I called Avianca and I booked her ticket. I was correct, it was $135. So going ahead and add that to our pet-related costs for international travel. Okay, I think I've got a pretty good understanding of what I need from Avianca. Let's go on ahead and check out what we need to export Mila from Colombia. The first thing I'm going to do is try and find the official government site for imports and exports of pets. Okay, so it looks like the ICA website's probably our best bet. Let's see if we can get this page in English. Okay, so this page clearly does not have a lot of information, but what we can see is that Mila will need a health certificate issued at the ICA office. If we click on the departure page, we get nothing. Okay, clearly this ICA website does not have a lot of information. And that's not totally uncommon when you're looking at government websites for your pets. So what I do is I'll find a local vet in town that works with these government offices that has a lot of experience in importing and exporting animals, and I ask them questions and I have them put together the paperwork for me. I can do more research online, I can read blogs, I can find other websites, but the problem is rules and regulations for countries change quickly, and most of the time people's blogs and websites aren't updated. So working with a local vet is truly the best thing to do if you can't find anything online.
So I think the ICA form is all we can know for now to export her. Let's see what it will take to import her into Mexico.
So the Mexican government website seems to have considerably more information about traveling with your pets. Okay, if we kind of navigate through, we'll find our way to this document that is in English, which is amazing, about traveling with your pets to Mexico. Okay, so it looks like if we're coming from Colombia, we'll need a health certificate, and it looks like there's some sort of cleaning that they do when she gets inspected. This looks pretty standard from the Mexican government, and as I can see, we'll likely be able to use the same health certificate to satisfy the airline exporting her from Colombia and importing her into Mexico, so we won't have to get multiple health certificates, which is great. Okay, now that we have our requirements, let's go on ahead and start getting some of this stuff together. Because I couldn't find the exact clarity on what we needed to export her from Colombia, what I did is I went around to a couple of the vets in Llano Grande here and just asked them if they ever dealt with exporting pets from Colombia. Most of them said, no, we don't deal with that, but I found one vet in town that does. And in about an hour, Mila and I are gonna go see her, and she's gonna help us gather the paperwork to make sure that we can export Mila correctly.
Mila, are you ready to do paperwork today? You know, official government paperwork? You just keep being cute. I'll take care of everything.
Okay, so we went over to the vet, didn't film when I was in there simply because they only speak Spanish. So I'd use all my brain power to focus on what was going on in the room. The vet issued her health certificate, which is great. They went through her vaccination documentation. They asked me a bunch of questions like my address here, my address in Mexico, when we're traveling, my passport number, all that kind of sort of standard stuff. And then they put the documentation together and then submitted it to the Colombian export office. The health certificate cost us 280,000 pesos, which is 73 US dollars, which is considerably more expensive than the $10 I paid in Mexico, but every country is a little bit different. So add that to the cost of our flight and we're a little over $200 into our trip. So now that we have the health certificate, our next step is to go to the airport and go to the animal export office, do her inspection there and get like the official government export paperwork. But we're waiting on the vet to issue us a code. Once we have that code, we can go into the online portal for the Colombian export office, fill the paperwork out there, and then that way when we get to the airport to do her inspection, they already have all the information we need. Hopefully it'll be easy and quick. Fingers crossed. Okay, we got the code that we need and now we're gonna head to the airport for Mila's second inspection of the day. But after that, we should be done and good to go. Okay, so I just left the ICA, which is the import-export office for pets. And we have our official export form, meaning Mila is legally allowed to leave Colombia. They were very nice and very fast. We were only in there for like 20 minutes, which is amazing. There was a cost associated with it. It was 65,000 pesos, which is like a little over $16. So we'll add that to our running total here. Mila is back in the backpack, but she's doing good. Honestly, she's a rock star. She sat in her bag quietly the entire time, let the vet and the person at the export office touch her. Even though she wasn't super pleased, she still let it happen. All in all, the export process isn't nearly as intense as I thought it would be. To be honest, I thought we were looking at like the entire day and it's only been about 2.5 hours. So on to the next task. Okay, we are back at our apartment. Mila is settling in and eating a bunch, which is great. We've got our health certificate, we've got our export form, and all of the officials have looked at Mila's vaccine booklet. So now we're going to go and make copies of everything. I've met people who travel with their pets and got denied at the airport because they didn't have copies of their pets' vaccine records. And I am not falling into that trap. Bit of a pro tip. Make more copies than you think you will ever possibly need of everything.
Now that our copies are made, let's have a final look at cost. In total, I'm paying $230 for Mila to travel on this one flight with me.
The last thing I do in the preparation phase is I take all of the documents that we have, the originals and the copies, and I organize them into 3 different groups. The first group being the documents that I need for the airline. Second one being the ones that I need to export her from Colombia, and the third being the documents I need to import her into Mexico. I hope this is everything. I always have this like sinking feeling the night before we travel that I haven't done everything, that I don't have all of our docs together, but I think this is the best I can do. We'll go on ahead and end part 1 here. Fingers crossed that part 2 goes according to plan and we have a smooth sailing travel day tomorrow, but I guess we'll find out in the next video. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.